Were you aware that your daily morning routine, the specific regimen you have stuck to for years, might be silently positioning you for a stroke? The majority of older adults in America have no idea. They operate under the assumption that a stroke hits unexpectedly, like a bolt of lightning. However, after dedicating decades to analyzing the aging brain, I can assure you that the initial warning signs do not originate in a hospital room. They begin in your bedroom, your kitchen, and your bathroom within the very first hour after you awaken. This is because after the age of 60, your brain enters the morning in its most delicate state. Your blood is more viscous, your pressure is escalating, your vessels have stiffened, and specific habits, seemingly innocent routines, can triple your stroke risk before you even pour your first cup of coffee. In this presentation, I will uncover the concealed morning triggers that most seniors fail to identify until it is too late, as well as the uncomplicated adjustments that could safeguard your brain for years to come. Before we begin, if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly suggest clicking that button and activating the bell so you never miss a health tip crafted specifically for you. If you appreciate this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 so I know how to improve my content for you. Point 1, drinking coffee immediately after waking up. When I talk to my older patients here in the United States, I frequently start with a question that appears innocuous. What is the first thing you put into your body each morning? Most smile and reply with pride, Doctor, my coffee. I've done it for 40 years. Yet, after decades working as a brain physician, I must tell you that this familiar American morning ritual is among the most underestimated triggers of early morning strokes in adults over 60. Here is the reason why. Throughout the night, your body undergoes a long, unbroken period without fluid intake, typically spanning 6 to 8 hours. As we age, the body loses the capacity to retain moisture efficiently, meaning older adults naturally wake up in a state of mild dehydration. This is not simply about feeling thirsty. In medical terms, nocturnal dehydration raises blood viscosity, meaning your blood becomes thicker, slower, and heavier. Thick blood forces the heart to exert more effort and diminishes the smooth, consistent flow your brain relies on every second. Now, picture what occurs when this already thickened blood encounters your morning coffee. Caffeine, particularly on an empty stomach, extracts even more water from your system. It functions as a diuretic, exacerbating the dehydration you woke up with. Simultaneously, caffeine activates the sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight response, generating a surge in heart rate and blood pressure mere minutes after opening your eyes. For a healthy 30-year-old, that surge might be negligible, but for someone over 60 whose arteries are stiffer and vessels are narrower, this combination is incredibly perilous. Here is exactly what can transpire inside your body. It triggers strokes because in the early morning, blood pressure naturally climbs. Adding dehydration and caffeine creates a sudden spike capable of overwhelming delicate cerebral vessels. It creates blood clots because thick, concentrated blood is far more prone to clotting. When caffeine further constricts the blood vessels, that narrowing raises the odds that a clot will become lodged. When that occurs in the brain, the outcome is an ischemic stroke. Furthermore, it reduces early morning blood flow to the brain. Older adults already face a morning dip in cerebral perfusion, and starting the day with caffeine rather than hydration deepens that deficit, starving brain cells of oxygen when they are most exposed. I recall an 82-year-old patient of mine from Arizona. He had no significant medical issues, no history of smoking, and walked a mile daily. However, he started experiencing brief bouts of hand clumsiness and difficulty recalling simple words during breakfast. His scans later revealed he had suffered small, silent TIAs, tiny strokes happening shortly after waking. His only consistent habit was drinking strong black coffee every morning before taking a single sip of water. When we reversed that routine, water first, coffee 20 to 30 minutes later, those episodes ceased entirely. This isn't about quitting coffee, it is about timing. Your brain does not crave stimulation the instant you wake, it craves circulation, hydration, and safety. If this single habit can quietly nudge a healthy older adult toward a stroke, you must ask yourself, what other morning behaviors are silently raising your risk? If you are still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you are with me. Now, let's move to point number 2, sitting too long on the edge of the bed without moving. Among my older patients here in the United States, this is a habit they almost never consider. They wake up, push themselves upright, sit on the edge of the bed, and remain there, sometimes for 5 minutes, sometimes for 20, waiting for their body to warm up. It feels benign, it feels gentle, but medically, for adults over 60, this quiet stillness is far from harmless. It is actually one of the most subtle early morning conditions that triggers strokes and silently generates blood clots before you take your first step. Let me explain why. When you sleep, blood flow slows and naturally pools in the lower body. This is normal, but as we age, a crucial change occurs. The veins in our legs lose elasticity, the valves weaken, and circulation becomes sluggish. Therefore, when an older adult wakes and sits without moving, the blood that pooled overnight continues to stagnate in the legs rather than rising back toward the heart and brain. This is a critical moment. Your heart is attempting to restore circulation after hours of lying flat, but your stillness hinders that upward flow. The result is a dangerous mismatch: thick, slow moving blood in the legs while your brain desperately awaits oxygen and nutrients after a long night. That isn't just morning grogginess, that is under circulation. Here is where the true danger initiates. It triggers strokes because when blood stays trapped in the legs and fails to reach the brain efficiently, blood pressure can spike as the heart tries to compensate. This sharp pressure rise, especially common in older adults, can rupture fragile vessels in the brain or worsen a pre existing blockage. It also forms blood clots. Stagnant morning blood is a breeding ground for clot formation. If a clot develops in the deep veins of the legs, a single stretch or sudden movement can dislodge it, sending it upward. If that clot travels to the brain, it can block a vessel instantly, causing a devastating ischemic stroke. Additionally, it decreases early morning brain perfusion. Sitting still prevents the calf muscle's natural pump action, the very mechanism your body needs to push blood upward. Without that muscle pump, older adults experience some of the lowest cerebral blood flow levels of the entire day, right when the brain is most fragile. I once treated a 79-year-old man from Ohio who believed he was having balance issues every morning. He described a strange fog, slightly trembling hands, and a moment of drifting vision whenever he rose from the bed. He assumed it was just age, but his routine struck me. He sat on the edge of the bed for 25 minutes every morning checking news on his phone. His scans revealed microclots in the small brain vessels, tiny, silent injuries caused by poor morning circulation. When he shortened his sitting time and added gentle ankle rolls and shoulder movements before standing, the symptoms vanished. This proves how something so ordinary can drift into danger without notice. Your first minutes awake are a crossroads. Activate circulation or let stillness sabotage it. A few seconds of gentle motion, flexing toes, rotating ankles, can distinguish between healthy flow and dangerous stagnation. And if simply sitting still can cause this much harm, wait until you hear about the next habit, one that millions of older Americans do every single morning, unaware of how risky it truly is. 3. Rushing to the bathroom the moment you stand up. Among my older patients across the United States, this is one of the most common and misunderstood morning habits. Many seniors wake with urgency, often due to nighttime urination, and the very first thing they do is stand up quickly and rush straight to the bathroom. It feels natural and necessary, but for adults over 60, this acts as one of the most dangerous physiological shifts of the entire day. Let me explain what happens inside your body the moment your feet hit the floor. During the night, your blood pressure naturally drops, your heart rate slows, and circulation becomes steady and quiet. When you suddenly move from lying down to standing, your body must instantly compensate to keep blood flowing to the brain. Younger adults handle this easily, but in older adults, cardiovascular reflexes are weaker, vessels are stiffer, and the heart takes longer to stabilize. This creates orthostatic stress, a sudden blood pressure drop as gravity pulls blood to the legs. If you move too fast, the brain is briefly undersupplied with oxygen, causing dizziness or instability. When this vulnerability combines with the bathroom rush, risks escalate. To urinate, especially after holding it overnight, your body uses the Valsalva maneuver, a reflex where you increase pressure in the chest and abdomen. This strains the cardiovascular system, forcing the heart and vessels to fight against internal pressure. For someone over 60, this combination, standing too fast, walking with urgency, and then straining, creates a dangerous cascade. It triggers strokes because the sudden rise and fall of pressure can rupture fragile vessels or destabilize flow in areas affected by plaque. Many early morning strokes happen near the bathroom where these rapid shifts occur. It creates blood clots because when blood pressure fluctuates harshly, older vessels struggle to maintain smooth flow. Stagnant blood in the legs combined with internal straining encourages clot formation. A clot breaking free during this instability can block a brain vessel within seconds. It also places enormous stress on the heart. In seniors, the heart muscle may not respond quickly enough to sudden pressure changes, depriving the brain of oxygen when it needs stability. I remember a 76-year-old woman from Michigan who experienced brief blackouts each morning right after getting to the bathroom. She thought it was age. We reviewed her routine. She jumped out of bed immediately and hurried to the bathroom to strain. Her blood pressure showed sharp drops followed by sudden spikes. She had suffered two silent mini strokes, TIAs, triggered by those transitions. This habit feels harmless, but the first 60 seconds after waking require patience. Your brain and heart need time to adjust. Slow down, pause before rising, give your body balance before stepping away. If you think this habit is risky, wait until you see the next behavior. A common healthy trend many follow, unaware it places the brain under even greater stress. If you are finding these insights valuable, please comment number one below. Now let's continue with point four, skipping breakfast or taking morning medications on an empty stomach. Among older adults in the United States, this habit has quietly become part of modern morning culture. Many seniors wake, drink coffee, take their meds, and start the day with an empty stomach, whether due to lack of hunger or intermittent fasting. But as a physician who has treated thousands of older Americans, I tell you, for people over 60, starting the day without food is a massive physiological stressor. Not eating doesn't just make you feel weak, it changes your physiology in ways that trigger strokes and form clots long before lunch. During the night, your body burns stored glucose to keep your brain functioning. When you wake, your brain expects replenishment. As we age, the liver releases stored glucose less efficiently. Older adults are thus vulnerable to morning hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, which restricts the brain's fuel access. The brain is the most sensitive organ. It needs steady energy. Without it, dangerous things unfold. First, blood pressure rises sharply because the body views low sugar as a threat, releasing cortisol and adrenaline to force glucose out. This tightens vessels and raises pressure. Second, blood becomes more prone to clotting because low glucose alters platelet activity and thickens blood. In older adults, this is the perfect environment for clots. A morning clot, combined with stiffness, can travel to the brain. This is why skipping breakfast is linked to higher ischemic stroke risk in seniors. Third, it triggers strokes through unstable circulation. When the brain senses a fuel shortage, blood flow becomes irregular. Vessels dilate and constrict unpredictably, which can loosen debris in aging arteries. Fourth, medications become more dangerous. Many older Americans take pills for pressure, diabetes, or thyroid issues in the morning. Without food, these drugs hit the bloodstream too fast, causing sudden pressure drops or fluctuations. I once cared for a 72-year-old man from Florida who thought skipping breakfast was healthy, drinking only black coffee. He experienced confusion and shaky hands around 10 a.m. We found he was dropping into hypoglycemia, and taking meds on an empty stomach magnified his pressure swings. A scan revealed a small morning mini stroke. Once he added a small meal, yogurt, or an egg, symptoms disappeared. Breakfast isn't about appetite, it's about stability and fueling the brain against morning chaos. If missing breakfast creates this risk, be prepared for the next habit. One millions see as harmless, yet it places the brain under stress most never realize until too late. 5. Starting your day with stress by checking news, emails, or social media too soon. Of all habits I see, this is becoming the most destructive. It's not about movement or diet. It involves something far more dangerous for an aging brain, early morning stress. For many seniors, the day starts when the phone lights up or the TV turns on, news alerts, financial updates, messages. Your brain is flooded with stimulation before your feet touch the floor. To you, it's just checking in. To your 60 or 70-year-old nervous system, this is a shock, a sudden wave of psychological stress delivered at the most vulnerable moment. Here is the medical reality. The body experiences a natural cortisol surge in the early morning to help you wake. In older adults, this peak is higher and lasts longer. Now, imagine adding emotional stress to that physiological stress. Your pressure is already rising, your blood is thicker from dehydration, and your system is still waking up. Suddenly, you introduce fear or worry through a screen. This combination creates a powerful blood pressure spike, constricts stiff vessels, increases heart workload, and drops blood flow to critical brain areas. This isn't small, it's the exact pressure surge brain specialists dread. For seniors, this comes with two dangerous outcomes. It triggers strokes because emotional stress tightens vessels already constricted by cortisol. The sudden pressure can rupture an artery or destabilize plaque. Studies show strokes occur more often in the morning because of this exact storm. It also forms blood clots because stress makes blood stickier. Add dehydration and emotional shock, and clots form easily. I treated a 72-year-old Vietnam veteran from Texas who started every day with the news. He thought it kept him informed, but it got his blood boiling. He experienced flashing lights in his vision, signs of TIAs. His pressure logs showed dramatic morning surges. When he replaced the news with 10 minutes of calm breathing, the episodes vanished. Your morning should not begin with stress or stimulation your brain isn't ready for. The aging brain needs a buffer before facing the world's pressure. Even 10 minutes of calm allows stabilization. Ask yourself, if a notification can injure an older brain, what about the next habit? It looks peaceful, but carries a hidden danger. 6. Ignoring morning blood pressure checks. This is the silent danger most seniors miss. Patients often tell me, Doctor, I only check my pressure when something feels wrong. Every time I hear that, I worry because the most dangerous blood pressure surge happens quietly and predictably every morning. Let me explain. In the early hours, the body experiences the dawn phenomenon. Cortisol rises, adrenaline increases, and the system pushes blood harder to prepare for the day. In older bodies with stiff arteries, this natural surge becomes risky. It is the single period when blood pressure reaches its highest volatility before breakfast, before meds, and before you measure it. Why does this matter? Because early morning hypertension is a top predictor of stroke in older adults, yet millions never check it. This is dangerous because, firstly, it triggers strokes. When morning pressure spikes, fragile brain vessels are hit with intense pressure. A momentary surge can rupture a vessel or worsen blockage. This is why many strokes happen between 6 a.m. and 11 a.m. Secondly, it forms blood clots. High pressure forces thick blood through narrow vessels, increasing friction and clotting. Once a clot reaches a brain artery, a stroke can occur in seconds. Thirdly, it destabilizes circulation before meds work. Medication needs time to take effect. If pressure is dangerously high before the pill works, your brain is unprotected. Fourth, it creates silent injuries. Many suffer microinfarcts, tiny strokes contributing to memory decline without major symptoms. I cared for a 78-year-old man from Virginia who insisted his pressure was fine because evening checks were normal. When we asked him to measure in the morning, the results were shocking, surges as high as 180 over 95. He confessed to vision blurring and confusion, tiny brain warnings. Adjusting his schedule stopped the episodes. You cannot manage what you do not measure. A monitor is a shield. Checking takes 60 seconds, but can distinguish between a stable day and an irreversible event. If ignoring blood pressure puts you at risk, the next habit is even more dangerous and shockingly common. 7. Spending the first hour of the morning sitting still. Of all the habits I warn about, this is perhaps the most deceptively dangerous. It looks comfortable, but for adults over 60, spending the first hour sedentary is a powerful driver of stroke risk. Here is the physiology. Upon waking, blood is thicker, muscles are stiff, veins are relaxed, and pressure rises. This is a delicate moment. Movement helps the body adjust, but stillness traps the body in a state of dangerous circulation. When you wake and sit for 30 to 60 minutes, your calf muscles, the body's natural pump, remain inactive. Weakened venous valves allow blood to pool in the legs. Blood sits stagnant and thickens. Meanwhile, your brain demands oxygen, but sluggish circulation struggles to deliver it. This creates an internal traffic jam, slow blood below, undersupplied brain above. This triggers strokes because the heart compensates for trapped blood by increasing pressure, which can rupture vessels in seniors with stiff arteries. Many morning strokes occur because seniors didn't move. It forms blood clots because stagnant blood clots easily. If a clot forms during this motionless hour, standing up can send it to the brain, causing a stroke. It also reduces brain perfusion. The foggy feeling isn't just age, it's the brain struggling with underpowered flow. I cared for a 74-year-old retired engineer from Colorado who sat reading for an hour every morning. He experienced blurred vision and confusion around 9 a.m. Scans revealed silent microstrokes formed during those stagnant periods. When he added 5 minutes of light movement, symptoms stopped. The older body needs flow, steady, gentle flow to wake the system. Just 2 to 5 minutes of mobility can cut stroke risk dramatically. Yet, millions begin their day in stillness. Now that you have seen all 7 habits, let's bring it together. Protecting your brain starts the moment you wake. Decades of treating older adults have taught me one truth: the brain is harmed slowly by small daily habits. The first hour after waking is critical because your vessels are stiff and circulation is fragile. These 7 habits are real physiological threats, rushing your body, starving your brain, flooding it with stress, or allowing stagnation. Everyone increases clot risk and stroke probability. But there is hope. You can change these habits. These changes are not difficult or expensive. They require awareness. A glass of warm water, a minute of gentle motion, a peaceful mind, a bite of food, a pressure check, and avoiding long stillness. These adjustments are medicine. They are longevity. The difference between a life altered by stroke and a life lived fully often comes down to choices made in quiet moments. Your future self is asking you to act now. If your mornings can increase risk, imagine how they can protect you when treated with respect. I would love to hear from you. Share one thing you learned and plan to apply. If you enjoyed this, comment 1. If not, 0. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and here is to living life on your own terms.